go. You will not be on the camera, so even if you turn your cameras on, that part won't be included in the recording, and neither will your chat. It'll just be the window where I'm painting. But I will send out the link to the recording after, just in case anyone needs to refer back to it. Okay, almost done here. If you guys want to let me know in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, let me know if you're almost done painting this blue. And remember, we want to keep it really, really light paint. We don't want to add too much paint because it won't dry in time for the next step. Okay. All right, so I'm not even gonna add more paint to my brush. I'm just gonna go over this and make sure it's nice and evened out. And this will help dry it a little bit quicker. Okay, so once you're done with this step, we're just gonna leave our canvas alone for a little bit, for a few minutes while it dries. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush, because the next color we're gonna use is white. So we wanna make sure that our brush is nice and clean. I'm gonna use a paper towel to also get some of that paint and water off. Is anyone not finished with their blue background yet? If you need a few more minutes, just say something in chat or unmute yourself, just so I know. It's pretty clean. All right, yep, we can totally wait a few more minutes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the lid back on my blue, because we are not gonna need this color anymore once we're done. If you have some left over, feel free to keep using it for another painting. And we're just gonna hang out for a couple minutes while we wait for everyone to finish up and for this to dry a little bit. That step at the end where you take your brush without any paint on it and you just kind of go over the whole canvas, that will help dry it a little bit faster too. So don't forget to do that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and wait until it is, let's see, 5:13 now. We're gonna wait until about 5:18 so that we have enough time for everyone to finish and for this to dry a little bit. If you use a lot of paint and you're worried that it's a little bit too wet for us to add the white, if you have a hair dryer at home, you can also use that to dry it a little bit more quickly. I would just use like a cool setting instead of the heat. But yeah, if you kept your paint pretty light, then it shouldn't be a problem going forward. You guys let me know if the music is too loud or not loud enough, or if you can't hear anything or see anything clearly. And in the meantime, since I started this recording late, I will show, this is what we're gonna end up with. The lighting in here is a little funky, so It looks a little bit more blue than it does in real life. Now, if some of you want to just create your own artwork and not follow along with what we're doing, that is totally fine. I'm excited to see what everyone comes up with. And we have a couple more minutes while we're waiting for everyone to finish up and for our background to dry a little bit. Anyone has any ideas for what we can do next month? I kind of wanted to do more of these painting sort of paint alongs or paint classes. So if you guys have any ideas for that or anything else that you'd want to do, right now we're still doing everything virtually. We have art kits available here at the library that you can pick up. Usually we'll have something new every week or two. Right now we have a very cool art kit that we got in partnership with the Institute of Contemporary Arts. So that's the ICA. They sent over a bunch of kits that are free for you to pick up. They come with 3 different activities and a few art supplies. And you can do them from home. You can also just hang out here at the library and do the activities here at the library. So that is also available. We'll have new kits available in the new year as well. All right. We are about to get started on our next step. Does anyone else need more time? Are we pretty much, do we feel like our canvas is pretty dry? Have another couple of seconds. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started with the next step. Awesome. So for the next step, we are going to need our white paint. And we're going to start by making our snowman head. So we're going to do this part of the snowman. Now, if your paint is not 100% dry, you might start to see a little bit of the blue streaking through, but that's actually not a huge deal. If you ever look at this snow in the winter time, sometimes it looks a little bit blue because it's reflecting the light in a funny sort of way. But if you use a nice thin layer of paint, then it should stay pretty white here. I would also recommend the same thing with this step. Just use a tiny bit of paint because we're also going to paint the hat on top of this white. And we want to make sure that it also has a chance to dry. So I'm making this snowman down here at the bottom of the corner. If you want to make it kind of in the middle, you just want to make sure to have enough room for his hat and his or her carrot nose. I just like to have it down here in the corner. So he kind of looks like he's looking up at the snow that we're going to add in a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the blue background. I'm not going to add any more. Once I have most of the white down, I'm not going to add any more to my brush. And I'm just going to lightly go over this whole white shape here. If you see some blue kind of peeking through, just dab a little bit of white on your brush and kind of go over it. Like I said, if you see a little bit of blue coming through, it is not a huge deal. It still looks really nice once you're done. Okay. Keep your brush strokes nice and light when you're spreading out the paint. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So like we did with the blue, I'm going to let that dry a little bit. But while that's doing that, let me go ahead and clean my big brush. And then we're going to get our smaller brush ready to go ahead and add our snowflakes. Make sure this brush is nice and clean though, because we're going to be using black next. Okay, so next we are going to grab our smaller brush and we're going to make some snowflakes. So we're still using that white paint. And this will give our snowman head a little bit more time to dry. So the only thing about this is you kind of want to avoid this area right here, because this is where we're drying our hat. But for your snowflakes, you can do any kind of snowflakes that you want. If you just want to make our kind of traditional little snow like this. You can also kind of make something like this, whatever you think looks nicer. You can do a mixture of the two. You don't have to worry too much about the white snow, the white paint drying for this part, because we're not going to be doing anything over this, over the snowflakes. So go ahead and use that smaller brush to make your snowflakes. Again, making sure to avoid this area right here where we're going to do our snowman hat. And then we can always add more snowflakes a little bit later once we're done. This is also a reminder, we have here at the library, we have some really nice windows that overlook the rain garden at the Adams Street branch. And we are decorating the windows with snowflakes right now. So if you stop by the library this month or next month, you can pick up a snowflake template, and then you can either decorate it while you're here at the library, or you can take it home and bring it back and we will display it. All right, hopefully everyone's doing okay with this part. You can add kind of different sizes, basically do whatever you want to do here. All right, so I'm going to wait a little bit more for the snowman head to dry. It is 5:24 now, so I'm gonna wait until 5:28 just to make sure that snowman head is all the way dry, or as dry as we can make it. Okay, and if you think you'll need a little bit more time than 5:28, just let me know so I know to add a few more minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off my smaller brush. We will use that again in a little bit. Oh, and there goes the light. Okay, and we are done with the white paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover that up too. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes for that white paint to dry. If anyone wants to turn on your camera and show your progress to the group, you totally can, no pressure though. Just a reminder, this is what we will eventually end up with. And while we're waiting, if anyone has younger siblings, younger children, I just also want to let you know that we do have virtual story times. Starting in January, they're all going to be pre-recorded and they'll just be available on a private YouTube playlist. So if that is something that you're interested in, you'll be able to watch them whenever you want. Basically, they'll just be available on YouTube in a private playlist. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can feel free to shoot me an email, even if you reply to the email that you got this Zoom link from. And I will send you the link to the playlist once we have it up and running. We will, hopefully my intention is to have some kits that will go along with the story time. So they'll kind of be themed to fit the story time that we're going to be doing. That way the kids get a little bit more engagement out of it. I know it is very difficult to do this stuff over Zoom and keep everyone's attention. So hopefully a little bit of a craft or an activity will help with that. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. My white is pretty much dry all the way. Again, if it's not completely dry, you can either use a hair dryer really quickly, or you can honestly just paint over it, because if you look, you can see how like some of my white came through and it just made it look like it's got a little bit more dimension. So happy little accidents, just like Bob Ross says, right? All right, so next we are going to take our big brush again, and it should be nice and clean and dry. And we're going to take our black paint and we are going to go ahead and start making this snowman's hat. So I'm just going to start over here kind of near the top, and I'm going to just paint a nice diagonal line across there. And this, it really helps to have like a nice light touch with this, because some of that white might try to come through, which is not the worst thing in the world, but you want to try to keep the black there as much as possible. You want to make sure to go all the way to the edge of your painting. And then once you have this kind of like flat oval shape going, I'm going to leave a little bit of a space here, because we're going to paint in the ribbon in a little bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and finish the shape of the hat like so. Just kind of imagine a nice tall hat sitting on his head. Okay. For this black part on top, especially if you want a nice, really like deep black color, you can go ahead and use a good amount of paint there because we're not going to have to paint on top of it. We just want to make sure that we leave this space right here in the middle of the hat so that we can paint in the red ribbon in a little bit. Okay, and I'm just kind of neatening the edges a little bit. Hopefully everyone's doing okay so far. Okay, when we finish that hat, we are not going to clean our brushes just yet. We're going to paint in our eyes. So just kind of imagine where your snowman's face is. So I'm kind of imagining he's looking up at these beautiful snowflakes that we painted. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 big ovals. Okay. How's everyone doing? Are we almost at the same spot, or do we need a few more minutes before we move on? All right, so while we're finishing up, that is all that you're going to need the black paint for. But if you want, this is an optional step. You can do it now or a little bit later, but you can also add smaller black circles on the bottom to make his mouth. But that part's up to you. I kind of like the look of him without a mouth, so I'm going to leave this one without it. But if you want to go ahead and add some black for the mouth, just make sure you leave enough space here for a carrot nose. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and clean my brushes. Okay. We'll need this brush one more time for the carrot nose. Just make sure it's nice and clean and dry. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move along to our next step. Let me know if I'm going a little bit too fast and I can slow down. But in the meantime, what you'll need is your small brush again. And we're going to take our red color to make the ribbon on his hat. So if you left a space here, we're just going to put in paint right along that space. If you forgot that part, you can just kind of paint over the black nice and carefully. and it shouldn't be that much of a difference. I'm just going to carefully with my little brush paint in this red ribbon. You can kind of see that mine is getting a little bit of the black in there, but that is not a big deal. It still looks really nice. Okay. Just gonna add that in. You can always go over the paint once it dries a little bit more. So later I might go over this part over here where the black paint kind of got mixed in a little bit. Once this is totally dry and the red will show up a lot nicer. But in the meantime, this looks pretty good. So that part was a short step, and that is really all the red that we're gonna need for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that away, and we're gonna clean this brush. And we're gonna get ready for our carrot nose. Okay. So for the carrot nose, I like to use both brushes for this. I like to use the smaller brush for the outline, and then I use a bigger brush to paint it inside. So the white should mostly be dry at this point. Blue should also be dry. So it should be easy enough to just take your orange paint here and your smaller brush, and we're gonna start kind of a little bit in the middle between the eyes here, and we're gonna make a nice triangle. This. Okay. A nice pointy end. And then I go a little bit past the middle since he's facing up. Okay, and then once you have your triangle down, go ahead and take your bigger brush that is nice and clean now, and we're going to add a little bit of paint in there and fill in our carrot. And just like the red paint, if you want to wait until this first layer of orange dries a little bit, especially over here where it's on top of the blue and it's a little bit harder to see. Once you let this dry a little bit, you can go over with the orange again, and it'll be a much cleaner orange color, but that is totally optional. Up to you. Okay. Alrighty, so that is pretty much the end of our painting. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a few more of the white snowflakes up here. Now that I know where the snowman hat is and I don't have to work around that. Anyone wants to show off your painting, you can turn your cameras on. You can even send me a picture of it if you want to email me a picture. I will go ahead and put my email address here in the chat. And I will absolutely share any paintings that you guys send me on our Facebook page. Okay. That is my email. So if anyone wants to send any pictures of their finished paintings, I would absolutely love to see them. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in a few more snowflakes, different sizes. Okay. And then we are pretty much done, except for one last very important part. We have to sign our art. So I'm going to take my little brush again. And I will use the black paint, I think. I think that'll show up nicely. Take my black paint and I'm just going to put a little bit on the paintbrush. And right here on the bottom, I'm just going to do my initials. Okay. All right. So that is pretty much it. I hope everyone had a good time. Everyone enjoyed painting along with me. We will try to have another one of these in January. If anyone wants to share their paintings so far, you can turn your cameras on or send me a picture to my email. I would definitely love to see them. We have a few leftover art kits, so if anyone is interested in picking one up for someone who couldn't be here today, that's no problem. I have a few left over here at the branch. I will also send out the recording for this to everyone who registered, just in case. But here we go. That is our finished product. Okay, and I hope everyone had fun. Okay, I'll wait a couple more minutes in case anyone wants to show up their painting. So I'll wait until 5:45. In the meantime, we do, just another reminder, we do have story time, virtual story times available. So if you're interested in receiving the link to those, just send me an email, jhincapi@bpl.org. Thank you so much. I'm glad you had a good time. I will have the January calendar up on our Facebook page in the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. That'll have all the links that you'll need for all our virtual programs. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do indoor programming for children soon. If you haven't had a chance to stop by and see the new building, it is a beautiful space. So we have plenty of places where we can do some fun programs, activities, story time. So hopefully you will all stop by soon. And yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. And hopefully we will see you soon. All righty. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here.